That day seemed off since the minute I woke up. I woke up at 6:34, even though I usually get up at 7:29. I made the bus, but I haven't made the bus since the first day of 4th grade. I'm in 10th now. First period, math. I didn't even fall asleep. Things are strange, really strange. I wasn't sure exactly what, but I felt it in my gut.
Who are you talking to?
No one. I'm just thinking out loud, I guess.
What are you thinking about?
Where did you come from, Angel?
The bell just rang for gym. I know you probably didn't feel up to playing. I just thought I'd tell you where Valerie and I were going. You seemed like you were dozing off.
Yeah, you don't look so good. Do you want to go to the nurse?
I'm fine. I'll catch up with you guys in a sec.
Okay, see ya.
Okay, back to what I was saying. Second period was gym class. I got there right on time, which never happens. I went to the locker room to change into my uniform and came out right when the bell rang. I could see Mr. Harris setting up for dodgeball, my favorite game. I've never lost once. I'm always the last one standing. Kids usually aim for me, but I don't mind. It's a challenge. I've never minded a challenge.
Alright kids, today's game is dodgeball. Kyle and Beck, you may choose your teams. We're starting in T-2 minutes.
I got picked first. No surprise. When I walked up to stand next to Beck, I was looking at all of the students in front of me when I saw this kid sneak in through the door that leads outside. No one ever sneaks into Mr. Harris's class late. He's got one of the tall buff guy gym teacher acts. No one messes with him. Sounds cheesy, but it's all too true. Anyway, this kid looked abnormal. I've never seen him before. He was short with dark black hair, wearing a black hoodie with no words or logo on it. He had on dark wash blue jeans and Adidas Superstars. His hoodie was too low to see his face. He looked like every other boy in my grade, but something about him was off.
Alright everyone, Kyle's team to my right, Beck's to my left. Ready? Everyone? 3, 2, 1, begin!
It was just an average dodgeball game at the start. I was getting kids out left and right. There were even kids on my team gunning for me, but I didn't mind. I was doing better than I had ever before. It was only a few minutes before I had everyone out, except for the new kid. I took one throw. He picked up this ball. It looked like an average dodgeball. I still don't know what it was. All I know is it definitely wasn't a dodgeball. The kid threw the ball with a simple toss, but my world turned into a blur as soon as the ball left his hand. It was hurling towards me, but I couldn't move. I felt frozen. Everything began to spin, fast. Then it all went black, and I felt my head knock onto the cold wood of the gym floor. Next thing I knew, I was laying down in the nurse's office. All I saw was the clean white ceiling and the lights shining in my eyes. I saw the figure of a woman in a simple white dress. She had a stethoscope around her neck. That was all I could see because my eyes were still adjusting. I felt like I had just woken up from a year-long nap. This nurse was one I had never seen working at a school before, yet she looked oddly familiar.
Hi, honey. You've been out for almost an hour. Drink some water. How are you feeling?
It was then I realized who she was.
Elizabeth, you're dozing off. Why don't you lie down? I've already called your mother. She can't come to school. You're just going to stay here for today.
Valerie?
Excuse me?
Valerie, what are you doing?
My name is Miss Mace to you. How do you know my name?
At that point, I really didn't know what the hell was going on.
Elizabeth, I'm going to need you to lie down at once. You're acting quite strange. I'm going to call your magic arts teacher, Professor Quincy. Don't move. I'll be right back, darling.
Magic arts? What even is that? I went to J. Madison High School in Angelwood, New Jersey. There sure as hell isn't a magic arts class there. At that point, I decided to take it upon myself to figure this out. I sat up. Right away, I realized I wasn't in my school anymore. This nurse's office looked nothing like the tiny, almost closet-sized room at my school. This room was large with square brown tile floors. The walls were clean white with accented blue brick on one wall. The cots surrounded me lay on either side of the room. They were light gray color, not damaged at all. Overall, the room appeared to be very clean, minus the back wall with the brick. There was a desk in the middle. It had a little sign on it that said Miss Mace in black letters. Her desk was filled with papers, none of which appeared to be organized at all. I started to walk towards her desk when my head began to pound. I then began to remember what happened. I got hit in the head in what I think was my gym class. That's all I could remember. I didn't know how or why, but I knew I was injured. Once I got to her desk, I saw endless supplies of papers with different students' names on them, with doctors' signatures. I was having trouble reading what the papers were about, but what I could read was the top left corner of the pages. It had a bold blue stamp on it that read Grinlass Academy. At this point, I was so incredibly confused. What is Grinlass Academy? What does that even mean? This room was creeping me the hell out, so I got out of there as quickly as I could. What the?
Hey, you know?
This place was insane. The hall was long, wide, and bustling. The bell had already rung, yet kids still coated the grand space. It was a dark brown brick, the hall was dim, and lit mostly by these gothic-looking chandeliers on the ceiling. There were doors on either side of the walls. The door looked super old and were made of super dark, almost black wood. They had these little glass peepholes in the middle, and grand metal doorknobs. Other than that, the school seemed pretty normal. The walls had large bulletin boards that covered from the middle to the top of the walls. There was one in between every door because the doors were pretty far apart. The bulletin boards were covered in posters that were obviously made by students. They all said different things. For example, come show your school spirit and watch the croquet team compete this Sunday at noon in Gymnasium B. Or, new spots just opened for Professor Winley's Talking Animals, beneficial or obnoxious. Seminar, apply in room 992, first come, first serve. When I tell you I've never been more confused in my life.
Hey, you know?
What?
You've been staring at this bulletin board for approximately 8 minutes now.
Wait a minute, you look familiar too. Mr. Harris?
How do you know my last name? You can call me Xavier. I'm not a teacher.
It was all coming together now. Everyone I thought I knew was someone else. I clearly must have traveled to another dimension while I was passed out. I don't know how.
Excuse me, girl, you just zoned out for a minute. If you want, I can show you to the nurse.
No, that's fine. I'm okay. Would you mind showing me to the magic class?
Which magic classes? Black magic, witchcraft, fairy training, magic arts?
Magic arts. That's it.
Sure, I actually have it this period. This way.
We had to walk for a while before we got to the classroom.
Okay, this is it. Just a quick heads up. Professor Quincy likes to find one kid to pick on every year, and this year, I'm that kid. So there's a chance that when we walk in, she'll stop me right away. You just keep walking with your head down to the back of the classroom. There's always extra seats there.
I was kind of nervous. I didn't like the idea of coming to my first ever class at this strange school late. It seemed pretty strict here.
Professor Quincy, I was late because I was just bringing my new friend to class. She's new here.
I don't care. Go sit down.
Hi. My name is Elizabeth Jones. Wait, Angel! Oh my god, I'm so glad to see you! It was right then that I remembered Angel wasn't who I thought she was.
Excuse me. To you, I'm Professor Quincy, and I would have thought you may have wanted to make a better impression at a school like this.
Sorry.
Take your seats.
When I started walking, I realized Professor Quincy's classroom wasn't like any classroom I had ever seen. It was more like a small arena. The room had a ground section in the front with a wooden podium with an ancient-looking laptop on it. There was a steep staircase on the wall closest to the door with levels of long rounded tables with chairs the higher up you went. The room was tall with a large window covering the whole wall. There were about 10 rows of students in just this one classroom. Pretty much everything in the room appeared to be made from this very dark wood, even the walls. It was a dull-looking place once you got over this dramatic seating arrangement.
As I was saying before I was interrupted, I would like a few volunteers to come down and show the class what they learned from their homework last night. Why don't we start with Xavier? Come down here quickly, please.
Wish me luck.
I was expecting him to go down and recite a few lines from Harry Potter or something, but instead, with a face redder than a tomato, he pulled out a pencil from his pocket and placed it flat on the palm of his left hand. With a simple gesture, as if he was turning an imaginary doorknob, the pencil lifted from his hand and into the air. He held it there for a moment until it fell onto the ground. The class laughed, but it was the most remarkable thing I had ever seen.
Elizabeth Jones, why don't you come down here and show us what you can do?
I think I turned whiter than a ghost when she said that. Still, I slowly made my way down the steps.
Okay, Miss Jones, show us a levitation spell.
You see, I...
Faster, the bell is about to ring.
But you see, I...
Just show us.
I can't! Oh my god.
Put me down. I meant make the pencil levitate, not me. Set me down at once.
I don't know how!
I'll help you. Run!
Sounds of chaos. They are being chased. I don't think I've ever ran that fast in my life. We sprinted down the stairs and down so many hallways I can't even count. As we ran past the nurse's office, Miss Mace came out screaming.
Get back here! You're the one who did this to your poor teacher!
I didn't know what to do. I felt trapped. I didn't even know I could do magic. Then all of a sudden, it was my fault some lady I barely knew, who was also my best friend at the same time, got launched through a window.
Oh no.
What?
Look!
Standing in front of us was the scariest looking woman I had ever seen. She was tall, buff, and looked like her face was molded into a permanent frown. She had her hands on her hips and her feet apart. She was wearing a black dress that looked like she hadn't taken it off in years. It looked like it was supposed to cut off at the ground, but it ended at the middle of her calf. She was wearing black socks that stopped at the top of her ankle. The dress exposed her black sneakers. They looked kind of like chunky Skechers, but more intimidating.
Oh my god.
Who is that?
It's the headmistress. Just keep running. Maybe she'll move.
She's the scariest looking lady I've ever seen.
Rumor has it that her only hobby is making children cry.
Are you serious?
Elizabeth, are you okay?
I opened my eyes. I was back at the nurse's office.
You fell pretty hard.
I know, my head is pounding.
Are you okay, Elizabeth?
Yeah, oh, Miss Mace, I'm so sorry.
What? You've never called me that once. My name's Valerie, remember?
I sat up. I realized this was the nurse's office at my high school. It looked like an average small and dirty infirmary.
You've been out for over an hour. You fell really hard in gym today.
Why are you wearing a nurse costume?
Oh, I found it in the closet back there. Isn't it cute?
Yeah, I guess. Where's Angel?
She's getting your next period teacher. Just relax. You're okay.
Yeah, alright.